Hello, beautiful people. I hope that wherever you are in the world, that you are doing well and that you are taking care of yourselves. I'm Chris Danker, and this is Let the Adventure Begin. Let the Adventure Begin with Chris Danker podcast. Hey, welcome to episode 154. I'm excited to be back with you this week. I took the last 2 weeks off, and if you missed the reason why, originally it was because I was going to have a full hysterectomy. So the plan was to have 2 replays in place, had them all ready to go so that I could get, 2 weeks of recovery under my belt. And then 2 days before my surgery was to take place, I was diagnosed with an upper respiratory infection, which meant that surgery was a no-go because of that infection. It can mess with anesthesia, not a good thing. So I could have pulled back those 2 episodes, but I had them edited and all ready to go. So I just took a couple of weeks off, and during that 2 weeks, and it's been very strange because I went from thinking I was going to be in recovery mode to all of a sudden being fully functional and not in recovery mode. And so my husband and I have been taking a lot of walks, longer walks. I have been working on putting together a healthy plan for myself, which I'm going to talk about next week. And I've been reading a lot and just spending time with my grandkids, talking to my son on the phone a lot, spending time with my daughter. So it's been great, but it was just kind of unexpected because I was thinking that I was going to be laid up, sleeping a lot, and not really doing a whole lot. So there we are. So I'm back with this episode, and I want to thank my associate pastor of the church that I go to, St. Andrew's United Methodist Church in Omaha, Nebraska. Associate Pastor John Sievering was talking about joy this week, and so I decided I wanted to turn it into a podcast episode. So thank you, Pastor John, for giving me the inspiration for this week. And he talked about, when we talk about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The interesting thing about happiness, as he broke it down, is HAP, H-A-P. The definition of that chunk is luck or chance. So when we think about happiness, it happens to us. On the flip side, joy is something that we cultivate. And so then I decided to look at the movie Inside Out, in which Joy is the primary character. And, Joy is, as the Wikipedia talks about her personality, says that she's vivacious and has a cheerful, peppy, and optimistic attitude, mainly wanting the best for Riley, who's the main character. However, this causes her to act somewhat selfishly towards the other emotions, particularly sadness, because she doesn't want Riley to have to feel sadness. And, at a point in the movie, she realizes that you need to have both of those experiences. The sadness maybe to appreciate joy a lot more. And so when we think about cultivating joy, we often will think about the big events that are happening in our lives rather than the little moment by moment things that can occur in our day. So what I've been trying to do just in the last day, or really today, that I've been thinking about is how can I not only cultivate more joy, but also think about it and just kind of maybe experiencing it in the moment. And so, I'm seeing where joy is showing up. And I'm thinking about, in the morning, when I first got up this morning, where might I find or see joy in the upcoming day. And as the day has progressed, I just want to share with you a few moments of joy. And I know this has happened because I made a conscious effort to think about where joy was showing up for me today. So one of the ways is that my husband and I, we have, there's a lake about 4 or 5 blocks from our house. So we decided to go over and walk, and lo and behold, ran into my friend Jodi Blick. Jodi has an amazing podcast called Fighting for Joy. I will link it in the show notes. And it was just, it was just one of those serendipitous kind of things that just happened out of the blue. We weren't expecting to see each other. She was walking with her friend Natalie. I'm walking with my husband Jack, and all of a sudden we see each other. We're like, oh my goodness. And so it was just wonderful seeing her, and just, something that was just unexpected that happened. So that brought joy to the early part of my day. As my day has progressed, I found joy in the chores that I was doing around our house. I decided to sweep and vacuum. And as I was doing those things, I was really being grateful for the house, that the roof that is over my head, the safety that I have, the fact that, I live in, I try not to take for granted where I live, and, that I just have so much in terms of, it's more than a dwelling. It's a home. It's where I feel safe. It's where I feel protected. And so that brought joy to my heart as well. I also had an opportunity to go and spend a couple of hours with my daughter. My son-in-law has Mondays off from work, and so he had the 3 kids at home with him, and she and I had some one-on-one mother-daughter time, and it was wonderful. That just brought me joy in the fact that we were just able to spend some time together one-on-one. We talked about a lot of different topics, and we don't usually get that time where we can talk about different things because of the fact that, when you have 3 littles that are vying for attention, you just don't get to have those long conversations. So that brought me joy today. It brought me joy talking to my son Nolan on the phone. He lives in Chicago. We talk, we try to talk on the phone a lot together since we don't get to see each other as much. And it brought me joy, the fact that he asked if he could call me back, because one of his very good friends who doesn't, he goes, could I call you back because so-and-so's calling me, and that doesn't happen very often. And so he knew that he could step away from our conversation and knew that I wasn't going to be upset, offended, or anything. And that brought me joy, just knowing that he could talk to his friend and then call me back. So those are some things that have brought me joy during the day today. And, we can, reflect at the end of the day on where joy showed up. I would encourage you that if you're like, I'm afraid I'll forget, just jot yourself some notes. Get what I'd like to call a joy journal, where you just get a little journal, and when you just have a little piece of joy, something that makes you smile, something that makes you laugh, something that makes you grateful, that you write those things down and then read them at the end of the day. Because again, I feel like a lot of times we think something has to be big, a big event, something momentous in order for us to say, oh, that brought me joy. Life is all about the little things in our lives that bring us joy, and how we can, also cultivate the joy that is happening in our lives. So I just really wanted to talk about joy. And like I said, thank you, Pastor John, for delivering your message on the topic, because it inspired me to talk about it today. And I can't wait to share with you a little bit more. I teased it earlier that I'm going to talk a little bit more about my health journey next week. And until that happens, I hope wherever you are that you let your adventure begin. Peace.